Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for bearing with me so I could just let a few more people come in and make sure we have as many as possible. That is me. My name is Varan. I am the UK Postgraduate Recruitment Officer here at the University of Southampton. I look after open days, our visit afternoons, and some of you might have met me out and about on the road at some of the fairs and events that I've been attending recently. I will talk for about half an hour. I will go through what Southampton is like as a city, what Southampton is like as a university, a place to live and to work. I will touch on the sorts of things that you may do while you're a student here. You may not at all, and that's absolutely fine. And then we will have a Q&A session with some of our student ambassadors, and you can pick their brains and feel free to ask them lots of questions. Start thinking already about the types of questions that you might be wanting to ask them. Can I have a quick show of hands? How many of you are thinking about postgrad taught, so master's courses? Okay, so most of the room would say, how many of you are thinking about postgrad research, PhDs, MPhils? Okay, so a few of you dotted about as well. And how many of you are from Southampton or the local area? Okay, again, so that's quite a good mix. So when I'm talking about the city, some of you might know everything I'm about to say anyway. But hopefully you'll all find it quite interesting. So, City of Southampton. We are a city, we have all the facilities and amenities of a city, but we are only about 240,000 people. I myself moved to Southampton about 6 months ago from a very small town, and I was a little bit worried about moving to a city because I had a very preconceived notion of, a massive crush of people because I'd grown up near London. And I'm delighted to say Southampton is absolutely not like that. 240,000 people, I think, is the perfect size for a city. Hi. No, don't worry. It's a really good place. We've got two universities here in Southampton, ourselves, the University of Southampton and Southampton Solent. And between us, we've got about 41,000 students. So we have a really large student population. And I think that's actually a really great thing when it comes to finding somewhere to live. It means that there's a lot of dynamic events happening. It means that there's a lot of variety. Cinemas, for example, so whether you're looking for your massive multiplex, we've got one that's opened recently. I believe that pretty much you get your own sofa and you get to go and you sit down and you recline and watch this massive screen. Or whether you like the more art house films, there's an indie cinema if you want to go and see the smaller releases. You've got those options. There's a range of theatres, so just behind that wall is Nuffield's Southampton Theatre. They get a lot of touring productions. A lot of the smaller independent ones do a lot with families. And in the city centre, we've got the Mayflower Theatre, which is a big theatre. It gets the touring productions from the West End. Also have the big panto will happen. The big comedians will come as well. Lots of museums and art galleries. This picture up here, this is Southampton's Cultural Quarter. This has been fairly recently, within the last 2 or 3 years, redeveloped. Massive amount of investment has gone into Southampton city centre. The Cultural Quarter itself had £40 million of investment going into it. Can you all hear me, by the way? Okay, good. £40 million of investment. Studio 144 will be opening there later on in the next 12 months. And that is going to bring together the city, Southampton Solent, and ourselves as a cultural centre. So there's going to be the John Hansard Art Gallery. We're going to have City Eye, which are a film company. They run an independent film festival every year, and they're going to be based there as a cultural hub in the centre. If, like me, you like your food and your drink, you're a bit more into the gastronomic scene, again, we're a really good place for that. Whether you're looking at things like Mauritian food, Japanese food. Domino's, at the moment, delivers until 5 a.m., which I cannot tell you how much that blew my mind when I moved here. Also independent cafes, independent bars. There's a lovely craft brewery right down on the West Quay Road, for example. Football. If you like football or you think you might want to go along and watch a Premier League match, we are the home to the Saints. We march on. We've got St Mary's, and you can go along and you can watch Premier League matches. And hopefully you'll also get a sense of how green Southampton is. Not only here on the Highfield campus, the trees that we've got here walking around, the duck pond, for example, just behind us. But Southampton Common itself is 326 acres of open public space. So whether you want to go and have a picnic, whether you want to go and meet up with your running group on a Tuesday evening, whether you want to take your bike and use a cycle path through the forest, you've got those options open to you. And we are in a really, really great location. We are right on the south coast above the Isle of Wight, so if you like your sailing or any water sports, this is a fantastic place to do it. If you like rambling and walking, we've got the South Downs to the east and the New Forest to the west. So we've got lots of options. We're about an hour and 10 minutes away from London on the train into Waterloo, assuming the trains are working in your favour. We are 2.5 hours by car from Exeter, about 2.5 hours from Birmingham by train, Manchester, Belfast, Newcastle, under an hour if you fly from Southampton Airport. I cannot recommend Southampton Airport strongly enough, by the way. It is adorably tiny and it is the best airport I have ever flown through. And Edinburgh, Glasgow, an hour and a half, as well as flights to the continent as well. So, us as an institution, we began life as the Hartley Institution back in 1862. We were founded through a bequest in a will. 1902, we became a university college, and we finally became a fully fledged university in 1952 through Royal Charter. We are a founding member of the Russell Group. Hopefully a lot of you will have heard of the Russell Group going through undergrad. 24 leading UK universities committed to maintaining the best research, excellence in teaching, and links with the public sector and business. And we are about 24,000 students at the University of Southampton. 7,000, give or take, are postgraduates. So almost a third of our student body is postgraduates. You will not be coming to a university where there are maybe 2 others. You will be coming into a university where you are a sizable proportion of the cohort, where you are, you count, you matter, you are represented, and I'll come on to that a little bit more in the Students' Union slides. About 25% of our students are international as well, from more than 130 different countries. And again, that makes for a really lovely place, a really great atmosphere for teaching and for learning. We've got 6 campuses and 1 in Malaysia, which is one of our engineering campuses. We've got some pictures here of some of our campuses. So this lovely red brick building up here, this is Avenue Campus. This is home to our humanities, except for music, which are based here. That wooden-clad building in the top right, that's our life sciences building right here on Highfield. That's home to a lot of our biological sciences. Down here, this is the National Oceanography Centre, half of which is NOX, the National Oceanography Centre, Southampton. That is our research vessel, or one of our 3 research vessels right outside. And then on the right, that's Boulderwood. That's our newest campus, and that's home to a lot of our engineering subjects, as well as our Maritime and Marine Institute and Lloyd's Register. We've got 5 libraries across all of our campuses as well. More than 3 million books and journals, so whether you are the sort of person who likes to get up at 9 a.m, get in the library, put in a full 8 hours work, or whether you're the sort of person who, like me, would much rather prefer to access electronic journals in your pyjamas from your bed at 11 o'clock at night, you can absolutely do that. If any of you are thinking about distance courses as well, the library will post you books, which is another fantastic thing to mention at this point. We do have world-class facilities. We're really proud of them here at Southampton. The R.J. Mitchell Wind Tunnel, for example, was used by engineers to help British cycling to success in the Beijing Olympics in 2008. We've got the largest marine science library in Europe. Well, we have to officially say one of. We think it's the largest, but no one's actually counted everything, so we can't definitively say that. We've got 3 research vessels, like I said, down at NOX. We've got really good links, for example, history with Salisbury Cathedral, if you're thinking about your humanities. And very strong links with industry and business, partly because our position is our Russell Group, partly because of the expertise we've got here at Southampton. 40% of our research involves external collaborations. So if you are going into engineering or going into some of the physical sciences, chances are you will come across industry and you will have that contact and exposure. These are some of our stats of which we are very, very proud. These are from the most recent REF exercise, ranked 8th in the UK for our research intensity. 97% of our research is world-leading or internationally excellent. Top 5 for research quality in things like oceanography, geology and environmental history was actually 3rd in the UK. And the best music and the best health science departments in the UK based on our research quality. So if you are thinking about doing a postgraduate research course, or if you are thinking, perhaps once I've done my master's, this is the route I'd like to go down, be assured in the quality of the research that we conduct here at Southampton. Student life. Now, I mention this to make the point that even though you are postgraduates, You are still students at Southampton. You still access the exact same facilities. You have the exact same support as the undergraduates. You may never engage with this. You may live off campus, you may be doing a PGCE and have no spare time whatsoever. You may not want to engage in this. That's absolutely fine, but it's a really good way to meet friends. The University of Southampton Students' Union is SUSU, and they have a stand over in the information fair, so please do go and have a chat with them and find out what they offer, particularly for postgraduates. They run more than 300 clubs and societies, so those are things from educational societies, actuarial society, the law society, there's a business society, the Postgraduate Biological Sciences Society, for example. It's a good chance for you, again, to meet other people who are into the same subjects, share the same passions as you in your courses. Creative, whether that's knitting or ballroom and Latin dancing. Communities, so there's a Bulgarian society I spotted last night, there's an African and Caribbean society. So again, you've got lots of opportunities to go and find out things, or not, as you know, it depends entirely on what you want to do. Student life, so a lot of religious societies of all faiths and none, and sports development, so martial arts or capoeira, in case you suddenly decided, do you know what my life has been missing up until now? A Brazilian martial art, that's what I really need to do. Squash, for example, if you just like to go and just hit the ball against the walls. They also represent postgraduates academically, and they represent through the postgraduate committee. So this is newly formed for this year. There are 7 positions on it. They're elected by the student body. They represent postgraduates to the union, but also to the university. So they are looking after things like events and activities, so making sure there are some social activities. This year they hosted a boat ball over the summer, which sold out really, really quickly. And then they had to find a bigger boat. You can always do with a bigger boat, to be honest. Whether that is representing you academically, so there will be representatives who will sit and will talk to the vice principal for education, and who will sit on those panels, and they will represent your concerns and push you forward. So know that you are a strong and vital part of our community here. Sport and wellbeing, again, this may be something that you never interact with. It might be something you very keenly interact with. Maybe you're the sort of person who likes to go to a gym, stick in your headphones and just go for it on the treadmill. Maybe you really like your team sports. You don't want to give up playing hockey, for example. Maybe you just like to go and take a fitness class because you need a little bit more motivation. Maybe you'll just never engage whatsoever. There are a range of options. We've got 4 membership options, and student membership at the lowest rank starts at £110 a year. There are also pay-as-you-go, so if you just want to pay for fitness classes as and when, or you want to pay to go to the swimming pool as and when, you absolutely have those options. And there's a huge range of activities available. So however you like to exercise, if you like to exercise, know that you've got those options here at Southampton, as well as the sports clubs within SUSU. Sport, again, have a stand over in the information fair. So please do and go and have a chat with them, because there's a massive range of sports that you may never have come across, that you might want to take up, even just to have a chat with them and find out how they find living here, actually. I'd flag that up to you. Accommodation. So again, accommodation have a stand in the information fair. Depending on what you want to do, you might want to go into a hall of residence, you might want to look for private accommodation. So this is City Gateway. This is our postgraduate only hall of residence. Costs for this year for City Gateway started at £6,000, just over, for a 40-week lease. That's including things like your bills, so your Wi-Fi, your heating, your lighting, for example. City Gateway is a 10-minute bus ride away from Highfield campus. There are also couples accommodation and family accommodation available. So depending on your personal circumstances, you've got those options open to you. We cannot guarantee a place in a hall of residence for our postgraduates unless you are an international student. However, if only 7 people wanted a room in a hall of residence, all of those 7 people would get it. If 3,000 wanted it, then there's no way we could fit you all in, even with lots of hammocks, sort of Navy style. That's not going to work, I'm afraid. But if you are interested in postgraduate accommodation, apply by the 1st of August. You might want to move into private accommodation, and we do provide help with that as well. So we have our own lettings agency here as part of our students' union called Susu Lettings, and they will advertise listings. We also take part in the SASH scheme. So this is a scheme that is run between us, University of Southampton Solent, and Southampton City Council. And it's like a voluntary registration scheme for landlords. So this is where landlords will register, and we will approve them basically, so we know that they will abide by legislation. They will fix that boiler that's been leaking. They're not going to put you in a damp and mouldy cupboard with no windows, because we've all heard those horror stories from student days, or undergrad days anyway. Think back to my lovely mouldy flat. And there's 24-hour support available even if you are in private accommodation. There is the PR support, which is the private rented support. They are a phone number that run from 6 o'clock every night until 8 o'clock every morning. So if there is a welfare issue at home in private accommodation, you have a point of call and you can get in touch with someone. You obviously have that support available if you're in halls of residence. That's run through our student support, but know that you are supported even if you choose to live privately. Prices for private accommodation, by the way, I'd say £300 to £500 per month for a room in a shared house, depending on where you want to live and the types of accommodation you want to live in. Help and support. This I cannot stress enough, particularly to people considering postgrad study. Student services, again, they've got a table over in the information fair, and go and ask them, go and talk to them about the support that's available. They are a massive umbrella, and underneath them sit lots of places. So the Faith and Reflection Centre, for example, is part of our student services. They are the first stop. They are on campus centrally for visa queries, perhaps money matters, you need to pay some fees, financial concerns, maybe you've had some unexpected costs and you're a little bit worried about how you're going to make the rent this month. They are the first port of call, and they will help you, and they will signpost and help you navigate a university, because as some of you have probably found out from undergrad, universities can be massively, massively complicated organisations. So having someone to say, you need to talk to Jim, can be an enormous help. Enabling services are part of student services, and they do a lot of fantastic work with our students, whether that's supporting students with disabilities, mental health difficulties, learning difficulties, for example, whether you're coming in with something that's ongoing or whether that's something that develops in the course of your time with us here at Southampton. You can drop in and pop over the road and ask to see someone. You can live chat with them, you can phone them, you can Skype them, you can email them, you can make one-to-one appointments with practitioners. There's a lot of support. And they run, in conjunction with the doctoral college, dedicated postgraduate support and dedicated postgraduate workshops. And we recognise that, particularly among postgraduates, there is a high incidence of people reporting feelings of stress, anxiety, depression, loneliness and isolation. And that's not something you should have to suffer alone. It might be something that's very common at postgrad study level, but it doesn't mean you have to put up with it. So they will run those sessions. And it's also, again, a way for you to get to meet people from across faculties and other subjects. The doctoral college. For those of you who are considering doctoral research, this is definitely something for you to bear in mind and go and have a chat with them. They run a huge range of, they're sort of the hub really for our doctoral researchers. They sit across all of the faculties. They're kind of like a grad school in that sense. They will run workshops in conjunction with Careers Centre, which is the next slide, on things like academic job presentations or what else do they run? They will run specialised software training. So if there's a piece of software you need to be able to undertake your research, they will run quite often those those skills sessions for you. They also look after the social side as well. So this year they ran a Bake Your Thesis competition. I'm told that there were some very amazing, elaborate cake creations, cake theses produced. They also run things like the 3-minute thesis, which has cash prizes. Flag that one up to you guys now. And they will also run things like, how do you network? How do you go to an academic conference, walk into a room of 1,000 people? How do you talk to them? How do you say, hi, this is me, this is what I'm doing? How do you make those networks and contacts? Because it can be really daunting if you've not done it before, and they will help you with all that support. Careers, again, this might be something you never come across. You might be studying with us part-time. You might already have a job that you've been released from to come and study. You may perhaps know that there is a career for you at the end of it, something like the PGCE or the nursing, for example. You may know that you're definitely going into academia. You might have no idea what you want to do at the end of your postgrad courses. You might change your mind partway through. Know that you've got always our Careers and our Employability service. They will again run drop-in sessions, skills sessions and workshops. There are dedicated faculty advisors, so there will be an advisor for humanities, there will be an advisor for health sciences, but there's also a postgraduate advisor. Rob Wood, he should be over at the information fair, he's fantastic. So you've got two support, the faculty subject specific and then the general postgraduate support. At Gradbook, those are those training skills sessions that I was just mentioning that they run in conjunction with our doctoral college. My Career Job Board, if you're looking for part-time work to supplement your studies here, you can sign up and get notifications. And as an institution, we are targeted by the top 100 graduate employers. We run 4 careers events a year with over 300 exhibitors coming along. So if you do think halfway through, actually, do you know what, I don't want to do this, I think I want to do something else, you've got that support. They also run a careers mentoring program where they will pair you with a trained mentor at the start of the academic year. And the really, really brilliant thing about Careers at Southampton, it is a lifetime service and it is free. So you could come back to us 5 years post-graduation, 10 years post-graduation, 20 years and say, do you know what, I had great fun being an accountant, but I think I want to be a farmer, can I have some careers advice? And we'd say, yep, great, come on in, let's see if we can figure out and we can help you. So that again is a real plus because not all universities will offer that. We have 200,000 alumni across 180 countries, so know that you will be joining a fantastically linked network of friends and contacts that will last a lifetime. LinkedIn, our alumni LinkedIn page is extremely active. You'll find quite often some jobs posted on there. We'll post on there with volunteering opportunities, a chance for you to come back and work at the university or come along to an event like today, for example, and talk to people. Facebook and Twitter. Alumni branches, 2 in China, 1 in the US. There's new ones being added. We're in discussions with alumni. And they will run things like careers networking events as well. So again, it's a chance for you to meet potential employers once you go after your studies. And even things like crowdfunding. Alumni have posted on occasion. Someone has come to us and said, do you know what, I've got a project, I'd love to crowdfund it. And our alumni office will post it. And they have been crowdfunded. So there is, again, that fantastic network to tap into. I'm only very, very briefly going to talk about funding because there is a dedicated funding talk immediately after this. Fees will vary according to your course and according to your fee status. The best place to check the fees is online. It will always be the most up to date, which is why I've not published any fees on here. If you are looking at doing a master's course, there are student loans available for UK and for EU students, depending on eligibility. So if you are English domiciled, at the moment you've got access to up to £10,280. If you're Scottish domiciled, it's a separate scheme. If you're Welsh domiciled, if you're Northern Irish domiciled, again, it's a separate scheme available for you. PhD loans are coming in next year as well. The UK government has yet to confirm eligibility for this. At the moment, we believe it will be £25,000 for your 3-year PhD course, open only to English domiciled UK nationals. There is no wording on EU at the moment. We don't know, and the government hasn't confirmed how applications will open. We are hoping that they will confirm this at the early in the new year, because this is something which will affect all universities that you may be considering. And care leavers bursaries, this is something that's a little buried on our website, and it's something I want to flag up. There is up to £2,000 available for postgraduate students as a one-off sum in your first year of study if you are a care leaver. And by that we mean 3 months or more in local authority care since the age of 14. You must be a UK national, and you must have graduated from your undergraduate degree within the last 2 years. But there is that money available. So if you think that might apply to you, make a note of that. Go and search on our website for care leavers bursaries. It's got all the information about how to go about applying, as well as contact details in there. This is my final slide. You'll all be delighted to know before we can get to the Q&A and we can interrogate our students. So most courses you will apply online on the university application form. A couple of exceptions, PGCE being one of them, nursing is another one. There's a separate application process. We will look for your academic qualifications. So generally speaking, we will look for a 2-1 or above. Not always. WSA, if anyone's thinking about some of the art courses, will take a 2-2 or above. But we will look for academic qualifications. Some subjects will specify that you must have an undergraduate degree in psychology to take a psychology master's. Other subjects, like history, for example, will just say that you need a degree. So it really depends. Some will say a range of subjects. Typically speaking, in the sciences, you need to have a science. You can't, there's no way you're going to cope with a chemistry MSc unless you've got a chemistry undergrad, because film studies isn't going to take you very far. But if you're looking at particularly in the humanities business, they're a lot more flexible when it comes to entry requirements on the subject front. We'll look for any practical or professional experience. So maybe it's been several years since you studied, maybe you didn't study at all, and you want to come in and you want to take that MA or MSc in Human Resources Management. So we'll take your professional experience into consideration. That's something really good to talk about in your personal statement. We'll look for evidence of the interest in the programme. So why are you applying to Southampton? Why is this the right course for you? And why are you the right person for this course? Understanding of the demands of postgraduate study as well. It is full on. If you are doing it full time, it is full time. Feel free to, again, interrogate our students about the step from undergrad to master's or undergrad to PhD. We'll look for a couple of references. These can be employment references. They don't have to be academic references. We will take employment references. Sometimes we might ask for a portfolio, for example, our art courses. We might ask for a sample of work, for example, our creative writing course. If you're thinking about a PhD, 95% of the time you will need to submit a research proposal if you're proposing your own topic of research. There may be an interview. So all shortlisted candidates for teaching will be interviewed. All shortlisted candidates for nursing will be interviewed. PhD students are usually interviewed as well. That can happen by Skype. You don't have to come here in person. Most faculties are really, really happy to interview you through technology. We might ask for English language proficiency. Don't worry too much about this one. If you don't have the required levels, or we look at your application and we think we want you to go away and get an IELTS, we would come back to you and we would ask you to provide that for us. Check your entry requirements. If you are applying for a couple of courses at Southampton, they may have different entry requirements. They may have a different application process. So check those carefully. You can find all of those in the prospectus and online. And check deadlines. So a lot of our courses will say that the deadline is the 31st of July. We will always advise you to apply early, particularly if you are applying for a visa or you're looking to apply for a university scholarship. University scholarship deadlines tend to be around March, and you'll often have to have an offer of a place before you can go for those. So check your deadlines carefully. Some courses will also close if they fill. So if you are thinking about it, this is the time to apply for it. If you are thinking of going for Research Council funding, again, this is the time to be having your conversations with potential supervisors, because deadlines for those are January. So this is the time to be thinking about it. It is free to apply to Southampton. We do not charge you. Other universities you may have found already will charge you to apply. We do not. Woo. And you can apply for as many courses as you want. You apply online and it's direct to us. It's not like the UCAS system. Does that all make sense in the applications? Right. Excellent. Did anyone have any questions? Yes? Yeah. That would be a question for Rob Wood, who is our postgraduate careers advisor. That is his sole role. His sole role. That's hard to say. His only job is to be the postgraduate careers advisor. And it should be him or one of his colleagues on that career stand. Don't be afraid to go and really interrogate them and really be like, right, what do you offer? Because I'm specifically looking for help switching sectors, for example, or I've been in academia for so long, I would like a bit of help in how do I write a normal CV, not an academic CV, or I need help writing an academic CV, not a normal CV. I see Abby waving at me.
Yeah, I would say definitely follow advice and do not speak to Rob, but from my experience as a PhD student, I now have access to something called Gradbook, which is an online sort of course catalogue, if you like, that certain students are eligible for. So there's humanity-specific ones. I log on as an ocean science student, and I can see things on everything from career development to how to present to public audiences. So there's specific things that you can learn there. There's also more general ones if you want to improve your presentation skills and perhaps not speak as quickly as I am right now. Or you might be going to a conference and you've never done an academic poster before and you want help with that. And that as an undergraduate might not have been relevant to you, but it will be now. And there's even guides on how to do your thesis using the university template in Word for Mac versus for PC sessions. So they really do make them really quite tailored to what the people ask for. So I sometimes also receive emails from my own school called You Asked, We Did. But basically, if you have something that you think, do you know what, there's loads of us in our office and we all need to use this particular software program, and there's no training on that. You can put that to your graduate school and they might even be able to run a session on it for you. So definitely do speak to the careers stand because they'll know way more than I do, but that's just a bit of a taste of it. There are definitely different tools available to me now than there were as an undergraduate.
Do you guys want to come down to the front, actually? Because this is probably a good time to leap in with you. You're going to have to escape, Rich. Right, so let me introduce a couple of our student ambassadors and a couple of my colleagues, actually, from student recruitment. So we've got Matt at the end. Matt is writing up his PhD in acoustical engineering and environmental science, broadly speaking. Matt did his undergrad at Hull and then came to Southampton to do his PhD. Rob has been with us, undergrad, master's, PhD, and final year, third year PhD in modern history. Abby told me this just before, writing up.
Doing deep sea ecology.
That's right.
/the deep.
Excellent. And did you do your master's here in undergrad as well?
Or?
Or?
Geography and did an undergraduate in geography.
Okay. And then this is my colleague Rich. Rich is actually a couple of years post-PhD graduation. Rich graduated 2015, Dr. Rich, graduated 2015 with a PhD in politics and social science. So you've got quite a nice array of people who've moved to Southampton from another university, people who've stayed here all the way through, and then looking back on the whole experience. So feel free to throw lots and lots of difficult questions at these guys as well, because that's why they're here. All right, hooray!
So it's substantially cheaper than London, but it's still more expensive than North England. It's the sort of like the price. I mean, I don't know what that means is sort of monthly prices.
Just relatively speaking, you always say that it's awful, but you get your friends come to visit, and that's where I know my friends just visit from Cambridge and then come here and go, hang on a minute, I just had over £5 and I had 3 pints and they didn't want more money. So it is cheaper for that sort of thing. Obviously, your supermarkets are pretty standard across the country, so your sort of food costs and things like that might be similar, but rent will vary.
Well, I think rent is about what you said, it's $500. I think I've always lived in a shared house, but only with 2 or 3 other people, and it's never been more than like $410 a month. It includes some bills. It's so then it was probably about another 60 or 70 quid a quarter, spreading that out.
For the your PhD, but I've heard you say, full time is pretty full on. So what does that mean as far as day to day, week to week? What are you seeing as
For me, that's treating it like a job. majority of
lab-based,
my work was either based in labs or at my desk at home. I would probably, if I had my time again, spend more time in the office for my research group. It's just more productive, I think, to be around people who are working on similar problems. But you can do some work from home, depending on how your faculty and supervisors would like you to work. I don't know what your
Yeah,
experience
that will vary from
yeah,
analysis
it's
and
quite
something
similar. I
like
mean,
this.
I could probably do, other than the actual research trips, to collect data, I could probably do it all from home. But I found that I treat it like a job. I work there slightly later, so I do 10 to 6, 10 to 7, 7, 9 to 5. But coming in means I actually do stuff.
So you find you're doing pretty consistent 30-hour, 40-hour, 60-hour week? I mean, some jobs are very 60
Well, yeah,
hours.
it gets big. I mean, it depends, because I took on teaching as well,
Right.
and that, as opposed to just factoring that in, I decided to just, weeks when I teach, I'll stay an extra hour or two, so that I can dedicate a day to doing prep for that. So, but I don't necessarily need to. I could just run over in terms of another couple of months worth of PhD to get the experience of teaching anyway. So you can have that how you want, I think. That's it.
Can I ask you, you asked me for PhD or for masters? PhD. So I'm going to throw something out there that might get a laugh. One of my supervisors actually, she had a baby during PhD, and she told me if you can aim for 4 productive hours a day, you can still get a PhD done.
Okay.
So it very much depends on the person. I actually work from home a lot, but I don't have corals to look after like someone else actually does need to be there looking after her corals.
Yeah.
But I would say it depends on how you work. If you are someone that really can sit down solidly and do a good couple hours in the morning, a good couple hours in the afternoon, and you're keeping on target, that's what your supervisors are there for. They'll keep an eye on your timeline and go, do you know what, this isn't actually working, you're perhaps doing a job alongside your PhD and I'm feeling like that might really affect your productivity. And that's where you have these sort of established checkpoints throughout. But it very much really depends on your PhD and your supervisors as well. Some really like to see their students in their lab with them, and others really don't mind. I have a supervisor currently in Canada at the moment, one that comes in once a month from office in London. So it's all very virtual for me. But I understand that it must really vary depending on who you're working with.
Yeah, and I'm in the same position as your colleague, I guess. I've got 2 children which I'll be juggling. So
Yes.
I'm trying to, there won't be a job involved, but I'm trying to balance that out. Because as much as I want to do my PhD full time, it's how that's going to happen.
I think, yeah, I mean, I finished my PhD with children as well. I mean, I think to some extent that does focus you in a way. I think that kind of actually is what's been said in that actually making sure you use the time productively. So the first year of my PhD, I did the most hours and I did the least work in that time. I wasn't actually sure really what I was doing, so I spent a lot of time in the office but not making a lot of progress. And towards the end, that kind of gets split because you know more what you're doing. So it is full on in as much as you need to really like dedicate yourself to it. You need to think about how you're going to do it, and it won't kind of like I imagine a lot of you here just kind of got by with being like either like smart workers or good workers so far. This is something you kind of have to impose some structures on, but as long as you kind of impose those structures, it's manageable within those 4 week.
Any specific support for people? I'm just in a similar position where a young kid. Is any specific support for people with kids at all?
I can't speak to now. When I did my PhD, you weren't eligible for the support for childcare costs that undergraduates with children are. However, as a PhD student, I was able to use the university creche for my daughters, which is subsidised and cheaper than market rates. It's not as cheap as it would be for undergraduate students with children. So there's that support. I mean, in general, there's an awful lot of flexibility built into the PhD. So again, not for all subjects, but for most subjects, you really are in charge of how you use your time, as long as you keep meeting, the checkpoints that you put in with supervisors, etc. Where and when you work, it's quite flexible. So there's that kind of inbuilt flexibility, and there is a lot of this sort of like child-friendly facilities on campus. I can't speak to funding, though. That's something probably to ask the student services or anything about.
Student services and the doctoral college as well. Pick their brains on that.
Can I just make a point? I'm actually a PhD student here as well. I'm here for someone else. Lady's baby, unfortunately, sorry everyone. Yeah, I'm in my 2nd year of part-time study, and I started full-time, and they were very, very happy for me to put a case forward as to why I should go part-time. It was to do with children and childcare and stuff, so they're really quite supportive of people who have outside pressures and like to get a job as well, because I'm self-funding. So I started full-time, went part-time, and later in my candidature, if I want to go full-time again, I'm not saying change all the time, but I think there'll be a conversation where I could go if I wanted to.
nature of postgraduates as well. You know, postgraduates are a really, really diverse cohort of people, which is why I love working with them. You know, you could be coming straight from undergrad, you could be 21, you could be returning to education in your 40s or 50s, having had years in industry. You know, you could have families, caring responsibilities. You know, they're really diverse. I'd say probably about half of our postgrads will go straight on from undergrad, and half will be returning to education. So our postgrad cohort is quite varied, and there is that recognition that, you know, what, you guys have lives and suffers parental leave and buying houses, and how do you cope with that? Actually, the doctoral college is really good at that kind of support as well.
Hey, when you say office, what do you? I mean, do you mean a library, or is there a sort of place where people of the same discipline are working together?
Yeah, typically. So again, it depends on the faculties, it depends on the type of building, like if it's a newer or an older building. So me in the social sciences faculty, we were offered when we joined either a desk with a computer or a laptop that would allow us to kind of work at hot desk locations around the university. So I opted for like the office where there was about 12 of us in a set of sort of 3 tables. Because I quite like that sort of working environment where you can talk to people about their projects and kind of like share your progress. So again, it differs by faculty to faculty, but typically you'll be given some base, whether it's a laptop or an office as well.
Yeah, it's good to know.
Yeah.
And it also depends where your office will be, sometimes the where you are in terms of how far you progress through your PhD course. So things like the Centre for Doctoral Training, they tend to put the whole first year cohorts in an office together so they get to know one another and they can support each other through that first year. And then they'll move you out into your research groups and your various disciplines after that first year. But yeah, all PhDs tend to have either a desk or hot desk facilities. So if you do work better away from your own home or away from where you have to do it, that's fine. You will have the space to do it.
Any other questions? There's no such thing as a silly question either. I should have said that at the start. If you are desperate to know which is the best ice cream parlour in town, feel free to throw one at us. If you want to know if you need to bring a kettle, throw that at us. This feels quite divisive, actually. I have some on-screen war.
So how hot are the parking people around here? So I might need to move my
Yes.
car.
Yeah, I have one ticket.
I'm
Not proud of that.
move into the next street in a minute.
Yeah.
I managed 4 years without a ticket.
So did I. I got caught at the end. Don't count
Don't
it.
say that, Matt, because we'll go home tonight.
That's all right, I've got to start fast.
Yeah, my undergrad, I got finally caught with that lovely ticket. I guess that's my parking for the years.
Yeah, it's cheaper when you put it that way.
Yeah.
When you average it.
Is there a big population of Southampton students that stay on? Was it mixed?
For me in particular, actually, I was quite weird in having left and come back. I only left for a year, but a lot of the people who were in my office were actually coming straight through.
Yeah, that's the same with my office. The vast majority of them go on undergrad, masters, PhD. I'm an outsider. Quite a lot of them go on undergrad, masters, PhD, then their first postgraduate research position.
Did you find that quite hard to sort of integrate then?
Not at all. I loved it. It was nice because I was the new guy in the office.
How about history?
Yeah, so broadly speaking, humanities anyway, I think it's probably about 40%, between 40 and 50 are staying on, and between 40 and 50 coming from elsewhere. But everyone, so humanities, it's all hot desking. You're given a laptop and your hot desk. But because of that, you get to see usually the same set of faces, but depending which room you go in and so on, maybe a different set of faces. Everyone's in the same boat. It's like becoming an undergrad for the first time. Everyone, you know, you're welcome basically, and you've also got kitchen facilities, which is good. You know, that's easy to chat over boiling a kettle and stuff like that.
You'll probably get about 4 welcomes. You'll have
Yeah.
your faculty welcome, there'll be a grad school welcome, there'll be the university welcome, there'll be a research group welcome, there'll be anyone who sits on the first floor welcome, which is really nice.
There'll be the informal welcome, which is always the most fun one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm a bit on the fence with doing a full-time or a part-time master's. I just wondering if there's any advice you can give on whether it's worth splitting it to 2 years or just doing it intensely.
What subject?
Archaeology, maritime archaeology.
Right. Would you think about part-time because you've got a job?
Yeah, pretty much. Or just other projects.
I mean, I don't think there's any. So when I did my masters, I think it was about a cohort of about maybe, and 6 of them were part-time, and they didn't seem to find the workload challenging with work. I think, because I did full-time, if I had a kind of regular job, as it were, I'd probably find it a push. So yeah, it might be worth considering part-time.
But also there are so many other opportunities here at the university. So I have my job now because of things that I've done alongside my PhD. So actually, if you do it part-time, you might find that you enjoy it that bit more because you can spend time with the Maritime Archaeology Society. You can go out and do public engagement with the that type of thing. But you might enjoy it that much more because you have got that spare time to enjoy the other facilities at this university. But really, only you can make that decision.
Got time for one more. Anyone's got the last question I want to throw in? Yeah.
So just in terms of online access, remote access, did you find that pretty good? You could sort of log in 24 hours a day if you wanted to.
Every day. There's a VPN service, so you can just log straight in, and basically that means all the journals just understand where you're coming from. And it's actually significantly improved since I started. Now I just click one button and it's working. There's IT available all the time if anything to go wrong with it. There's also a really cool online portal now that you can go to and log into effectively a University of Southampton machine. So I use a Mac, and that actually means I can use PC software more easily that way. So yeah, sorry, short answer is good.
There's an awful lot of programs as well. So the basic Office packages, the statistical packages, etc. You can download, and they're licensed for PhD students. So there's access to an awful lot of resources you can use as well.
Office 365 as well, so 3 copies of the most Office, which is fantastic.
And they do specialist software as well. They have MATLAB and loads of really quite expensive bits of software that they let you access and download to your machines.
Sorry, if there's time.
Yeah, go for it. Yeah, and then we'll have to call it.
What's the one thing that you know now or you wish you'd known before you started?
Great question to finish on.
Manage your supervisor and stay on top of where you want to be in your PhD, because every single supervisor in this university will have an agenda. All of them will want to support you, but they will have other students and other projects that they're working on. So stay on top of yourself would be my biggest piece of advice to 4 years ago now.
I think probably echo that, like from the start, try and work out how you're going to work best and stick to it as best you can. Yeah, this time disappeared very quickly.
I'd say be really open and honest with your supervisor, because it's actually not like a job. So I came in treating it like a job, time sheeting myself in some weird way, or my hours when I needed to do more on the weekend, and various ways of thinking like that I had. And now I know my supervisor's the sort of person that if I said, you know what, today I'm doing this, or I'm doing something completely different, or I'm looking after my children, or I just know that if I've been a lot more open on this at the beginning, I can enjoy it a lot more. So I think, yeah, just be frank about what works for you, and you'll probably be surprised that they're pretty cool with it and not even at all concerned with how you want to work it.
Yeah, I think everything about the structure of the PhD, it kind of pushes it towards being this kind of like piece of, this masterpiece of perfection and prestige. And actually, like, none of those things are true for most people. So, I mean, it's just keeping grounded about what the challenges are, what it is that you're hoping to achieve, and not letting it kind of like carry away in terms of your expectations.
Yeah. I guess finally remember that it's a doctoral training program. It's not about producing some amazing piece of work. It's about bettering yourself as an academic, as an individual, which most people lose sight of.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Excellent. All right, thank you very much, guys, for helping out with that. We will have, starting in about 5 minutes, there's a funding talk in here, and that will be repeated, so you're welcome to stay, you're welcome to go and come back. You should hopefully have all picked up a copy of the CD and funding guide as well, some really great information in there. And have a really great day if I'm not going to see you again. And enjoy Southampton. Thank you. You were fantastic. Thank you both.
Yeah, it's tricky, that one. Is there somewhere obvious for us to go now? Like, what would be the best thing for us to do? Yeah. Okay, fine. I'll see if I can find anything helpful. Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah.
Could I ask that you move up to the middle